Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tracy Garrity, and I am going to be the MC for the next 3 days, so you're going to get fed up looking at me. But one of my jobs will be to call you to attention, bring you back into the room, and to start the sessions. So I'd like to invite the speakers for the opening session to come and sit on the stage, please.
Are you not standing on the stage?
I am, yeah.
Oh, that's going for a hop.
Will you fix them? Fáilte go baileát lia go dtí seo an cúigiú UCLG Culture Summit. Bhfuilm fáilte speisialta chur roimh or dmhara baileát lia Daithí de Róiste agus chuig or Górdia atá taca ó ar fud an. Lord Mayor of Dublin, Mr. Daithí de Róiste, distinguished guests, welcome to Dublin and the 5th UCLG Culture Summit. Tá áthas ar cóirle carach blach lia go Portóireacht a dhéanamh le United Cities Local Government, UCLG, leis an cógáil trí lá seo a chur ar siúl. Dublin City Council is delighted to partner with our colleagues, United Cities Local Government, UCLG, to host this important 3-day event. The biannual summit is a vital forum in the global discussions of cultural policy, sustainable development, and the important role played by cities. The summit will bring together over 450 delegates from 56 countries across the globe to participate in local experiences and policy discussions in the areas of climate action, gender equality, cultural rights, UCLG's Pact for the Future, health and well-being, and increasing awareness for the urgent need for a culture goal. It is appropriate that we stand in front of this symbol of culture that you will be as familiar with as the identity of the summit. It is the word for culture written in the ancient pre-medieval language of Ogham. The earliest inscriptions in Ogham are dated from the 4th century AD. It is believed to have been created by the Irish as a means of secret communication that could not be understood by those with a knowledge of Latin. The value placed on a written language continues not only through the extensive networks of libraries funded by Dublin City Council as cultural democratic spaces, but also the pride in Dublin's designation as a UNESCO City of Literature. Dubliners regularly cite the city's library network as a place not only for literature, but a place of learning, understanding, coming together, and community. In 2017, uilleann piping was included on the UNESCO's representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. From a situation when there was less than 100 uilleann pipers in 1968, when na Uilleann was founded, it is now a thriving community of piping through access, education, performance, and preservation. Please enjoy this unique sound of Ireland with the performance of GILL of 2 pieces of music. He will first play an old Irish air, the Coolin, followed by a reel, the Flags of Dublin. Ladies and gentlemen, GILL. I'd like to invite the Lord Mayor of Dublin, Daithí Róiste, to open the summit.
Fáilte go baile clia. Welcome to Dublin. It's a huge honour for us here in the city to host the 5th annual UCLG Culture Summit. And through our partnership with UCLG, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome everybody here today. James Joyce tells us that Dublin is a city where poets, dreamers and storytellers, where imagination takes flight. Agus mór an honor agus an privilege dumsa sibse le bheith an seo Emilia á clia agus fáilte choróh mar ort vera á clia. Tá cultúr baile á clia fréimhethe go dainn in tradiisiúna Gaeilgeacha agus tá cuimhne agus céileathar leis na céadta bliain. And it's an honor to stand before you as Lord Mayor of Dublin, as I said, representing the rich cultural heritage of everything our city has to offer. Dublin's culture is deeply rooted in its Gaelic traditions, which have been preserved and celebrated for centuries. It's a baile á clia ar jonga. Dublin is language. When we think of culture in Ireland, it's impossible to overlook the deep-rooted influence of the Gaelic language, also known as Irish. Irish has been spoken on this island for thousands of years, and through the efforts of language revival movements and immersion programs, Irish has seen a resurgence in recent years, symbolising a commitment to preserving and reclaiming our linguistic heritage. Is it baile á clia, cluichí Gaeilgeacha? Dublin is Gaelic games. We cherish our traditional Irish sports, Gaelic football, hurling and camogie. These games host immense cultural significance and play a vital role in the fabric of Irish society. The city boasts 90 GAA clubs with over 100,000 members and a voluntary 82,000-seater stadium in Croft Park that's filled by professional athletes that don't get paid. They play for their club, their community and their county. Gaelic games are deeply intertwined with Irish culture. GAA clubs act as community hubs, providing a nurturing environment for fostering friendships, promoting physical health and preserving Irish heritage. And the games serve as a unifying force, bringing people together from all walks of life and providing a platform for celebrating shared heritage and sporting excellence. Something I'm sure that you'll all get to experience tomorrow evening when you get the chance to go to Croft Park. Ceol is a baile á clia. Dublin is music. One of the defining aspects of Dublin's culture is its thriving music scene. Traditional Irish music, as we've just heard from EMMET there, can be heard in pubs and venues right across the city, captivating both locals and visitors alike. Dublin City Council Smithfield Fleadh is an exciting, free, 2-day family outdoor summer event that celebrates our traditional Irish music. And the programme showcases the diversity of traditional Irish music across generations, from legacy to emerging artists, with a programme that includes singing, dancing, discussions and workshop. And the sounds of fiddles, of bowrons and tin whistles fill the air, creating an atmosphere that is unique only to Dublin. Litríocht is a baile á clia. Dublin is literature. Dublin's the birthplace of 3 winners of the Nobel Prize of Literature, Samuel Beckett, George Bernard Shaw, and poet William Butler Yeats. Other notable figures associated with Dublin and our city include Jonathan Swift and Brendan Behan, the poet and dramatist Oscar Wilde, playwright Sean O'Casey, and the novelist James Joyce. Their works have left an indelible mark on the literary world, inspiring generations to explore the depths of human existence through words. Dublin is also a UNESCO City of Literature and hosts over half a dozen book festivals, as well as the internationally prestigious Dublin Literary Award. Is é baile á clia na Halína agus na Déanachtaí. Dublin is arts and humanities. Our city is adorned with vibrant street art, much of which I hope you get to see in coming days. And it serves as a canvas for local and international artists to showcase their creativity. The National Gallery of Ireland, EMMET, and Dublin City Council's UILLEANN Gallery exhibit captivating works that span various artistic movements, providing a visual feast for all who visit. And as you walk around our city, you will see the Andy Warhol exhibition that we're so proud to host at the moment. 10 years ago, Dublin was one of the first cities in the world to introduce a Historians in Residence programme, placing 5 historians working across our capital city in our network of public libraries. And in October this year, they brought 203 free history talks, workshops and discussions throughout the city for our people to enjoy. The Dublin City Council Culture Company, who were responsible for putting this event on for us today, they work with the national cultural institutions of our city to ensure creative, innovative programme and access to the national collections through its culture club across theatre, across music, visual arts, history, heritage, literature, the Irish language, the National Archives and museum collections. Failte is á baile Clia. Dublin is festivals. Dublin's cultural tapestry is not complete without mentioning our famous festivals. From the lively St. Patrick's Day parade that now goes on right across the world and fills the streets, to the enchanting Tradfest, to Pride, to Bloom and the Dublin Theatre Festival. Our city certainly knows how to celebrate, and I do hope you get to enjoy this over the coming days. Only weeks ago, I announced our intention to have a neurodiversity festival next April in our efforts to demonstrate true inclusion in our city. It's a baile clia on culture. Dublin is culture. Development is only sustainable if its cultural dimensions explicit and connected to communities and neighbourhoods across our city. And it's clearly evidenced through our Dublin City Development Plan and the role of how the role of culture impacts everything that the City Council does here. And we're currently preparing a new cultural strategy which will ensure the cultural dimension of creativity, of heritage, diversity and knowledge is explicit amongst all of our operations. As Lord Mayor of Dublin, I'm committed to supporting and promoting our city's rich cultural heritage. I believe culture has the power to bridge gaps, to foster understanding and create a more harmonious world. And none more so in over the past week when we saw what happened in our city. Culture has an important role to play to bridge that gap. I'm delighted to welcome UCLG member cities here to Dublin, regional governments and networks to discuss particularly the culture goal in greater detail and to hear the first-hand experiences of local actions of communities right across Dublin and then from people across the globe in their work to deliver the SDGs effectively on the ground over the coming days. We add our voice in solidarity to the global campaign for a culture goal. Dublin is not just a place, it's a home that we all share. We call for inclusion of the culture goal in the 2030 agenda to give full coherence to the place of culture in sustainability as well as the ecological and social transitions that we need to make. And our actions today in preserving and promoting our culture will determine the Dublin of tomorrow. And this rings true for cities right across the world. And the responsibility lies with each and every one of us to make this vision a reality. Is átaí baile clia lán le culture. Tásúla gom galéir go muine sibh tantna bhas gachrod atá romh sa céad cúpla lá eile. Gur Emilia maithagí.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'd like to invite Emilia Saiz, UCLG Secretary General, to say a few words. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Lord Mayor, for this wonderful message. Thank you to the Chief Executive Director of Dublin City Council. Thank you to the wonderful, wonderful Dublin City Council Culture Company and the whole team. Thank you, everyone. Please consider all protocol observed. We are very happy to be in Dublin. We were happy before, but now, Mayor, you have convinced us there is no better place to celebrate this summit. What a wonderful tapestry, really. We knew that Dublin was not only a place. We knew that. And now we can feel it. And so I do hope that that will inspire our discussions because as the statement that you have been working on together states, we are in a change of age, and what a change it is. It is a change of age where we need to rethink, to challenge many of the understandings that we have. We need to challenge the way we understood the quality of life. We need to challenge the way we understood our relationship with nature. We need to challenge the way that we govern ourselves. And we need to challenge the way that we are giving shape to our own collective humanity. And nothing can help us face the challenge if it is not culture. Culture is not only the expression of our values, but actually culture, and this is what our World Organization, United Cities and Local Governments believes, also helps us navigate change. It helps us understand our losses, and it helps us celebrate our successes. It helps us articulate what we can mean for each other. It helps us renew our values and transform our agenda. And the agenda that we have in front of us, the collective agenda, is one that needs to change. Because if we all accept that our models are not respecting planetary boundaries, if we all understand that the level of conflict that we are going through has to do with the inequalities that we have been justifying in our current way of living, then we will need to learn to transform in a scale that we didn't know before. It's a different type of social contract that we are asking to define together. And we feel that culture needs to be that mortar, as we called it in Izmir in the last summit, that help us shape that future. We need a new pact for the future, for people, for planet, and with government. And it is the role of culture that needs to help us absorb what is changing, what doesn't work, and give us the roots to actually form something together, shape it together. And co-creation is the basis of this summit. This is what we are here to do. Based on our knowledge, on the belief that we can develop our own capacities and that people are agents of their own transformation. And the identity that culture provides to us is also a critical instrument for the collective transformation. This is why over this couple of days, we are going to be working on our own capacities, ensuring exchange between experiences around the world, and providing that safe space for dialogue, for tending bridges, for discovering the new frontier of our humanity. That's what we came to Dublin to do. It will be a very, very critical cornerstone to what we will be presenting in the coming year to the Summit for the Future. It will impact the way that we present our way forward to the multilateral system, and it will be the argument that will help us build the case for a different role of local and regional governments at the decision-making table. Because if there are new actors, we will be able to develop a new agenda, an agenda that goes beyond interests, but that actually looks at values and at objectives. So it is an ambitious agenda, Lord Mayor, that we have come here to develop. It is an agenda that needs to affect not only the cultural policies that you are leading in your different cities, but it will need to impact general policies, the new essentials of local service provision that will be the building blocks of the new social contract that we call the Pact for the Future. The Pact for the Future of Humanity that needs to come out of the Summit for the Future of the United Nations will need to give a different role to culture, but also to local and regional governments. This is our hope, and with you together stand to actually contribute for a better story, for a better narrative, for current generations and those to come. We are very, very proud to be here with you, co-creating that agenda. Thank you very much.
I would like to invite
Quisiera invitar ahora al señor Heehyon, vicegobernador de la provincia especial de autogobierno de Jeju. Tiene la palabra.
Good afternoon. Nice to meet you all. I'm Vice Governor of Jeju Special Self-Governing Province, Heehyon. Distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to congratulate you on holding the 5th UCLG Culture Summit here in Dublin, the capital of Ireland and a UNESCO City of Literature. It is a great honor for me to be here for the opening ceremony on behalf of Jeju, an island of world peace. Today, I'd like to thank Lord Mayor of Dublin and Secretary General Emilia Saiz of the World Organization of United Cities and Local Government for providing this meaningful platform for local governments to gather together and talk about culture and sustainability. Well, Dublin and Jeju have a lot in common as they both are the tourist destinations blessed with nature and full of diverse cultural and artistic resources, which I believe will help facilitate exchanges between the two cities. I'd like to tell you what an attractive and splendid global exchange city Jeju is. Jeju holds a very special attraction. Jeju's natural landscape, which was designated as a UNESCO World Natural Heritage, Biosphere Reserve, and Global Geopark, winning the triple crown of the UNESCO Natural Science sector, is loved by people all over the world with its unique and spectacular scenes that vary with the season. And what makes Jeju's special charm stand out is the very culture that embodies the community of Jeju people. The unique culture of Jeju can also be found in people, and Heehyon is one of them, literally sea women. As an emblem of the strength that Jeju women have, the culture of Jeju Heehyon was inscribed on the UNESCO list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. And like this, Jeju's cultural resources generated through the harmony of nature and people are recognized for their unique characteristics of uniqueness, history, and creativity, leading to a richer modern culture. It was to share this unique culture of Jeju that the second UCLG Culture Summit was held in Jeju in 2017. The reason why Jeju took the lead in establishing the UCLG Aspect Culture Committee and has been actively engaged in it as a chair city is to further expand exchanges between Jeju and other cities across the world. Going forward, we will play a pivotal role and make every effort to create a global culture where both people and nature are happy. Through active cooperation and solidarity with other cities, living up to Jeju's reputation as a leading culture city of the UCLG. To this end, Jeju has been pursuing global cultural policies that seek to expand exchanges while emphasizing with other cities. This is to create a global cultural community in response to the era of post-COVID-19, and I will introduce 3 major projects. First is the Global Young Creatives Residency Project. In the 5th event held in September 2023, 24 young artists and 38 professional artists from 8 different countries participated, enhancing their cultural capacity through various art creation and exchange programs. And the second project is the workshop to boost the capacity of Asia-Pacific cultural policy, where government officials and those engaged in culture from the Asia-Pacific region discuss sustainability, and the art exchange project between Jeju and other cities in different countries. We will continue to promote this project into the next year, 2024, as well, to enrich exchanges between Jeju and other cities and further expand the scope of the global cultural community. Well, I ask for your participation and interest in these projects. Distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen, the internal and external conditions facing the world, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, climate crisis, population extinction, and high-tech industrial revolution, are calling for our paradigm shift that respects life, and actually a wave of change has started everywhere. What this paradigm shift is aimed at will be a global community of peace and prosperity, where nature and humanity living on Earth create a happy world together. The Jeju Special Self-Governing Provincial Government set its vision to a Jeju where people and nature are happy in July 2022, motivated by its ambition to start an audacious challenge of leading a sustainable peace and prosperity community from Jeju beyond the Republic of Korea into the world. With these global cultural exchange projects of Jeju I introduced today, I would like to propose strengthening exchanges and solidarity with your cities and building a global community of peace and prosperity together. Looking back on world history, regardless of time and region, culture is the home of life, happiness, and our future. Now, the new era of culture should serve as an opportunity to realize global peace and prosperity in the future while overcoming the current global crisis through various cultural and artistic exchanges and solidarity in countries around the world. We firmly believe that the UCLG Pact for the Future, approved in 2022, is an excellent roadmap for our constituency, the local and regional governments of the world. Jeju has been already pushing forward with various future industries that will lead the Republic of Korea in the world by expanding our exchange regions further into Asia and the Middle East through the Asian Plus Alpha policy. I promise that we will play our part in creating a sustainable global culture and future vision by expanding exchanges and actively promoting solidarity projects with your cities participating in the UCLG Culture Summit today. We are one, as we have always been. If we go together hand in hand, culture will be more enriched, and the right of local people in each country to enjoy the culture will be more enhanced. A bright future will await us if we make a creative culture together for a sustainable culture city. Jeju and Dublin will run first and invite all UCLG cities and members to work with us. I look forward to your continuous interest and participation in cultural exchange programs of UCLG. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vice Governor. I would like to welcome to the podium Alexandra Xanthaki, the UN Special Rapporteur on Cultural Rights. Thank you very much. Hello. I'm not that tall. I am delighted to be here today with you at the start of these very interesting 3 days. And already it has been a very interesting morning. The aim of this summit is to envision the future together. And for cultural rights, this could not have been more appropriate. When we talk about cultural rights and when we talk about culture, we mean ways of life. We don't only mean the artistic expressions, but we mean all creative expressions that we all have, not just professional artists, but also our philosophies, our values, our understandings of the world. And how can we build a future if we do not engage with what our values, our philosophies, our ways of life actually are? States, organizations, private and public, civil actors, and of course, communities and individuals are at the core of this ongoing discussion. And they are the ones shaping and evolving the cultures. So in this evolution, local governments must have a very central place in the table. They must have a very central position
in shaping how the future is going to be and in shaping the cultures that are going to be highlighted and are going to be included in the future and in the local governments. Because local governments, we know now, are closer to the public, and they're also closer to the problems that the public face. They bring concrete, creative, and important solutions that are suitable to the diversity that we all face in every context that we experience at the moment. Local governments offer concrete examples, and I would like to hear more about these specific concrete examples on how we can respond to the global challenges while still respecting the values, the philosophies, the ways of life, and the priorities, ultimately what we call cultures. And I hear a lot of time people talking about culture, and of course there is the global culture, and maybe now it's time to recognize that we are not talking about one culture, we are talking about the cultures, multiple cultures that states have. And all of these cultures, be it the cultures of the mainstream, of the minorities, of the refugees, have to be included and have to be highlighted and nurtured. So local governments have the potential to transform the cultural rights of the people they live in, the right to maintain and develop their ways of life. By creating spaces where people can be together and can interact. And I know that this has been quite a priority in Barcelona, and I'd like to hear where else it has been a priority. By highlighting the cultural frameworks of the marginalized and the vulnerable, by resisting the stereotypes and the segregation that some elites or some states want to or allow to be created. By infusing art in the street and recognizing art wherever it comes from, not just from the past, not just from the elites. But the local authorities do not only have this potential, they have this obligation. The local authorities and governments are parts of the states, and in being so, they are bound by the international obligations that the states have undertaken vis-à-vis international human rights law. And several times we hear about the lack of resources and the lack of engagement of the state with the local authorities. But this cannot be used as an excuse. Inertia, doing nothing, cannot be allowed for whatever reasons. And we have amazing examples where local governments, without a lot of resources, have managed to be inclusive and have managed to be looking towards the future in a much more inclusive and brighter manner. I know that very often local governments face a lot of challenges, and I understand that they feel squeezed at times, especially in these times. However, we have to recognize that they also have some power. They have the power to recognize and implement the rights of relating to the cultures of the individuals and the groups, or they have, unfortunately, the power to squash these rights. And unfortunately, we see that only too often. We see local governments not recognizing the transformational effect that culture has on the individual and on groups. So we still see, and in my official visits and in the communications that I get every day, I do hear still that school children are being reprimanded at school for not talking the local language and for talking their own languages. I see that women are still seen as the carriers of the culture of the community, and they're being squashed no matter what they do, no matter how they're dressed, no matter how they see themselves. And the local governments sometimes do nothing about these issues. I see the popular culture also being pushed down in favor of a more folkloric understanding of art. I see art that is provocative, art that is too loud or too political being pushed down. And unfortunately, I see this even more so in the last 2 months. On the 23rd of November, I, together with the Special Rapporteurs on freedom of expression, freedom of association, and a couple more, issued a public statement where we did say how alert we are about the wave of attacks, reprisals, and sanctions against those publicly expressing solidarity with either side of the ongoing conflict that involves Gaza. We did say that calls for ceasefire are seen as Islamophobic by some states, but also there is a rise in anti-Semitism. And we did say that this stifles free expression and that these are obstacles to participation in public life and in cultural life. Local governments have a role to play in this. Local governments are not without responsibilities and without power in this respect. So I think that it's time to act. I hear a lot about this change that is happening, and maybe it's because I'm only going to be in this role for another 4 years, but the change does not seem quick enough to me. I see a lot of wishes and I see a lot of promises, but I would like to see more specific measures that are taken in order to highlight the cultures of all, the cultures of marginalized people, the cultures of artists that are provocative, the cultures of different parts of the population. In this respect, the Action Framework and Pact for the Future of Humanity offer some solid guidance on how to put people and their values and diversity in local cultures. But most interestingly, you, local government officials and local government supporters, you have to shout your positive practices. You have to engage with the government. You have to go beyond the state and come to the international fora, come to the United Nations and tell us what are your successes, but also what are your challenges. So in this respect, I am looking forward to linking more culture and cultural rights to sustainable development. I have been engaged in this topic for 2 years now. I have completed 2 reports to the United Nations General Assembly on development and cultural rights with the help of a lot of you who have been very actively engaged. And I think that the conclusion is that culture and cultural rights are still very much absent from discussions on sustainable development. And you can see that in any international fora where sustainable development is talked about. Culture, it does not have a place. Cultural development is not seen as relevant, which to me is really surprising. How can we talk about even, social and environmental and economic development if we do not have the opportunity to revise our own values and our own philosophies? How can we talk about equality of women if we do not have the opportunity as members of communities or individuals to think through our values when it comes to women? So cultural development must be at the center of any sustainable development. Otherwise, development is just not going to be sustainable. But there is in front of us a way to change this, an opportunity to change this. There is the post-2030 agenda, and several of us, including myself, advocate strongly for having culture as a goal in the new post-2030 agenda. And we need you as active supporters in this, together with your experiences and your challenges and your ideas. So in this respect, I am really looking forward to learning more about what is happening at the moment in the local government and what is the vision of the local governments to include and cultures and reinforce cultural rights for all. And I'm looking forward to see this change that is happening and to feel it happening even more so. Thank you very much.
I'm very tall and powerful now, that's all I have to say. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce a film called Home Truths. And Home Truths is cultural rights on a screen. There's no other words for it. It's an animated short film based on the ongoing engagement we have had in Dublin City Council Culture Company with the residents of 2 care homes who are close neighbours to us in our building in Richmond Barracks. Connecting with us from the care homes during the height of COVID-19 pandemic, the residents reflected on their life experiences as they faced into the winter months with poignant stories brimming with humour, tragedy and hope. Their stories came to life projected on the facade of City Hall in the heart of the city in December 2020 for Winter Lights, a Dublin City Council event, and were made into an animated short and a graphic storybook. These projects were delivered through our ongoing creative engagement projects and engagement projects through the Culture Company. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite you to enjoy Home Truths. We're all going to leave the platform, and then afterwards we're really, really pleased that Fiona McAuley is going to share with you some of her thoughts and experiences on how it worked for Home Truths. Thank you.
The activity room in the Croft is busy. Hello, can you hear us? Residents come and go for a smoke and tea. There are general distractions and background noises. Hello, Patricia? I'm not sure they can hear me. Lisa's voice is more authoritative than mine. She is generally having more success at being heard.
Hi, Patricia. We wish that we could come and be in the home with you, but we're not allowed at the moment, so this is the next best thing.
Hello, Betty. We've not met you before. It's a bit funny, isn't it, over the screen?
Oh, God, it is.
I might go out for a smoke, Betty tells us. Other times we have technical trouble.
Yeah, now I can see you. I thought you were dead.
The screen sometimes freezes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's the weather.
Despite the obstacles, we persevere, capturing the memories, some fading, of lives well lived. Their storytelling brims with an undisguised honesty that could level us younger ones. Time marches along, Margaret tells us.
I'm going to good life. I'm going to do it all in.
We also find ourselves laughing a lot during the conversations. Patrick is one of the residents at the Croft. He has a wickedly dark sense of humour. At the end of a chat we have with him, he signs off with, "We're all doomed, doomed, doomed." Christy is a resident at the Croft. He tells us,
I get on well with people, you know. Yeah. The first thing I do when I open my eyes in the morning, give me the ability to help someone in need. That makes my day as well. I've asked for help and give thanks at night.
we talk about how he's coping with lockdown restrictions.
It's not lockdown, it's locked up now, you know.
Technology has helped Christy throughout the pandemic.
It's great the technology we have today, isn't it? Brilliant.
Without Facebook, Zoom, WhatsApp, I don't think people could cope. He tells us,
When I got a phone first, now, a couple of years ago, I hadn't got a clue, you know what I mean? But now I'm showing other people how to use the phone. You know?
Right.
I progressed.
but helping people out comes with its own challenges. Christy tells us how he'd helped to tune in a football game on the television.
here in the home. They fixed the fella's television and he had half an hour. I had a hard time to shop doors. A good friend of mine, a lovely man he was, you know. It's terrible sad. So I'm not fixing any more televisions.
Music has been hugely important to the residents. Christy tells us about a musician who comes to sing to the residents of the Croft.
And there's a lad comes in sings for us, you know. We do it every second week, you know. He's out in the day. When the people are in the day, you know, we have the doors that you can open, you know. Yeah, they're very good, you know.
I asked Christy if he listens to music on the radio.
I know, YouTube. I put it on about 9:30 in the morning, you know. Teresa came into my room with the morning and I was playing the music down. Turn on that music, I said. That's how I met Teresa, you know. But I play a little bit louder. How you got that, Teresa? The girl got out of a charity shop. An open, handmade, full-size, beautiful sound off it. It's fun again. You know, get a few chords together. But I got one lesson and then we went on lockdown. The man couldn't come anymore.
The guitar lessons are cancelled, but Christy's more than happy to go on singing his songs a cappella.
You don't need to get tired. Just my voice. It should be something from the heart. I've only 5% of my lung function left, so I'm on oxygen 24/7. I have a great voice for what I'm singing. I don't know how that is, you know, when God gave me this. I never sang a note before they came here. Now they can't stop me, you know. I'm like the lark in the morning singing.
Christy treats us to a recital of Cliff Richard's Travelling Light. When he finishes, the room applauds.
Oh, you like that? You have a seal in the room.
Valentine tells us he joined the army after leaving the industrial school in Tralee.
You have to smell this clean, tidy your head, cold dollar. You have to look the parts, you know. You have to look like a soldier.
We discovered this soldier's passion for reggae.
You've got a long history with Bob Marley, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Going back to Bob Marley's concerts in Dublin.
Yeah. I won't know play. There's many goals.
Work has played a huge part in the personal lives of the residents. We talk with Teresa.
No, that's good. When I told you. Yeah, I worked in mountains.
You worked there all your life?
Back in
So that's quite nice. I'm sure you made lots of friends in there.
Yeah. My husband there too.
Oh, you met your husband there? When did you get married?
1962.
Margaret, a resident at the Croft, tells us about her husband.
Yes, Margaret. What did your husband do?
He was an electrician.
Okay. Electrician.
And had a good job in the corporation. Now, you know the corporation, don't say it down. So it's well known.
Yes.
Now, don't ask me if he had a job in it, I know that.
Yes.
But what he done, I don't know.
Yes.
Christy also worked for the corporation for a while and tells us about the many other jobs he worked at throughout his life, from messenger boy to window cleaner on Liberty Hall. He also used to deliver the coal from the boats that would arrive into the docklands.
I worked where you had to stand to get a job, you know, and the stevedore would call you out, you know. And when you didn't like it, you never got a job. They got paid in the pubs that time, you know. Now you want to pay in the pubs, they're closed there.
They remember the compassion they experienced during childhood. Margaret grew up on Nicholas Street.
My mother, she had 5 children. And I was the baby of all the kids she had.
Youngest?
Yeah. It's all good.
She was all good. Lovely thing to be able to say, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I can say it. I'm willing to say it.
She recalls raising her own children.
I got a house in Germany, yeah. Then I had the kids. I had a lovely family. Oh, it was lovely. Everyone looked after things. And I had a good life. Good life. And I do it all again. I was young then now. I wasn't like I am now.
Yes, young Margaret.
Oh, thank you.
Once you get brain there, you're young.
Well, I done well. I done well.
You did well.
Maura is a resident at Hollybrook. She remembers the crib in the church in winter when she was a child, and her mother building up the fire for her father coming home from work. He worked in Guinness and would be frozen. The John Wayne Westerns made a big impression on Donald growing up.
John Wayne, yeah.
Are you a John Wayne fan?
Yeah, the cowboy film.
You like the cowboy films?
Yeah,
You like the guns and...
yeah, guns and caps.
Did you get presents of the guns?
Some of the relationships are pretty good.
Or did your family would bring them into you?
Yeah.
In the era of the new normal, we protect one another by staying away, a difficult notion to reconcile. Catherine, a resident at Hollybrook Lodge, is reminded of another time she had to distance herself from her family to protect them. She had to walk from Ballsbridge to Drumcondra to sleep one night. She was sick with scarlet fever, a highly contagious disease. Schools and churches were closed, and she had to leave the house and her boys so not to infect them. Maura resides at Hollybrook Lodge and caught COVID-19 in the first wave. While she was recovering in Mercer's Institute for Successful Aging, her husband Stephen, who she looked after for many years, died from the virus. She tells us, "I knew he was gone, but at the same time I couldn't believe it." She could not attend his funeral, and a nurse sat with Maura to help her watch it on a tablet. She looks forward to being reunited with the rest of her family again. Maura was interviewed on TV for RT Investigates, Inside Ireland's COVID battle. She tells us, "You know, we had a wonderful life, just it ended disastrously." Afterwards, she received thousands of letters, cards, gifts, and notes of support from people all over Dublin and Ireland, wishing her well. She says, "I would like to thank the people who sent me messages after I had the virus and appeared on television. To the people of Dublin, you're the kindest people I've ever known." While families must stay away from the nursing homes, there is a persistent fox that visits the garden of Hollybrook Lodge throughout the year. Christy tells us about the garden at the Croft.
There's loads of food. Dogs, wood pigeons, magpies, greyback crows, seagulls, you know.
It's a couple.
Yeah, it's like the zoo over there.
Moving into the winter months, apart from the predicted waves of infection, there are the familiar, reassuring seasonal patterns visible from the windows. Falling leaves and the emergence of wild berries. Lately, the winter robin comes into the gardens. His visits are almost spiritual in their significance. When you saw a robin, it was a loved one coming back to Earth to say hello, to say they were with you, tells Adrian. I love the red plants at Christmas. Yes, the poinsettias, says Marion. When the phones and tablets are turned off for the day and neither visitors nor trips outside are allowed, a resident's connection with the outside world is focused on the wildlife in the garden. Christy shares his thoughts.
And the corporation put a beehive up there as well. The next guard, you know, on the platform with us. The friend we have in America, on Facebook, you know, he's a pollinator. He helps people to grow wild gardens, plants and all that, and use native. He helps people to give a bit of land over for the birds and the bees that are growing wild, you know. He's into hummingbirds also, and he knows everything about hummingbirds. You know, but they're beautiful. They're only a size of a 10-cent coin. We need them in our life, or we wouldn't be around here today if we haven't got that.
In what has been an unsettling and isolating year for many, we are finding new ways to connect with each other. The residents of the Croft and Hollybrook Lodge are no different. Their life experiences show that they have the strength to endure the many struggles of life while appreciating the joys along the way. They continue to do so as they face into the winter months of COVID-19. A message pops up on the screen about our chat time limit.
I don't know what that message was.
I think it was just to do with the 40-minute limit, and we don't have to abide by it because they're letting us carry on, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
No restrictions when I'm on.
ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite to share some of her thoughts and experiences of Home Truths, Fiona McAuley.
Thank you, Tracy. So it's really amazing looking at the piece now. We've had a little bit of time since the pandemic, but you know, it's so interesting because that time, you know, making Home Truths, what we started with, Winter Lights, which became Home Truths, was, you know, it was extremely challenging, but it was a really great time, and I'm really delighted to be here. You know, that it's got another airing, and that I can express how grateful I am to the Dublin Culture Company for all the work they did with us. So, you know, you've all heard the COVID stories, and you get a glimpse of it there in the production. That it, you know, it was a really difficult time all around the world. You know, for us in the residential care home, it was very hard. And but when the lockdown started, when the lockdown happened, you know, the home, as you know, all institutions were completely shut down. Family and friends weren't allowed in, and our residents weren't allowed out. And then even inside the home, we had to restrict group activities. We were prohibited from having group gatherings. So, but very early on, I started to talk to Linda Devlin and Lisa Gray in the Culture Company. And when I realized that there were people available and willing to do work with us on Zoom, I just grabbed that opportunity. Now, in the beginning, we didn't know if it would work, you know, because our residents had no real experience of working with technology. So we said we'd give it a try. And we started with conversations about historical buildings, because that was of interest to the staff in the Henrietta Street Museum. And so our residents just talked about their local knowledge of the buildings in the area. But that kind of quickly moved on. One of our residents had a really great interest in local history and Civil War history. So one of the staff in the Culture Company was an expert and such, and he talked to Patrick about that. And then, you know, we started then into playing music on Zoom. Christy, who wasn't able to be here today, he had started guitar lessons just before the lockdown in person, but that had to stop, of course. So he started playing guitar and singing with Phelim Drew, one of the guides from the Culture Company, and they developed a great friendship. And Christy, you know, was really delighted in time to find out that Phelim was actually the son of Ronnie Drew, one of his all-time heroes. So then, you know, another guide, Sinead White, she started to sing with the residents as well on Zoom, and family members were invited in. So, you know, these were kind of like really kind of magical, even though, like, you know, everybody gives out about Zoom. It worked really, really well. And so another artist, illustrator, did a project with Val, who was mentioned in the piece. She created a storybook around his interest in Bob Marley. So by the time the Winter Lights and Home Truths came along, we were already, like, you know, really well used to using Zoom. And you know, what I want you to know is that when we started doing it, we actually worked off like a 9-inch tablet. And we had laptops available to us, but you know, the tablet was actually easy to pass around. And you know, to start with, I never would have thought that a generation of people who weren't used to technology would be able to do that. But time and time again, you know, coming away from the music sessions or the one-to-one chats, you know, I just see this, like, you know, see people like beaming with delight. It was actually really interesting. Like, you know, I was just so surprised by it. And I've, you know, kind of thought about, you know, why was that? Why, you know, could so much happen, over technology like that. And, some of the reasons, I think, is that people were being given this one-to-one time. They were being listened to, and the people talking to them were interested and curious about their story, so they were inquiring about what, their past. People were having a chance to reminisce and, delve into their history and into their identity. Residents were also having the chance to really get into topics of interest for themselves. And like Christy with the guitar and Patrick with, the local history and the Civil War history, they were actually learning as well. So, and I just want to say some of my big takeaways from this time are the value of one-to-one. That you just can't underestimate that. And as well, never to underestimate people's capacity in what they can do or what they can contribute. And also, never to really presume that you know what suits somebody or what they need. Give people lots of choices, make lots of things available to them, and having that space and time to try things out and explore, see what works and see what doesn't work is really important. But, and also, what was really exceptional about this time as well is that, the Dublin Culture Company staff came with an openness. Like in the beginning, we actually didn't really know what was going to work or where we were going to go. We didn't have an outcome in mind. But we had the resources. We had all the ingredients that we needed. And everything we did was done in a framework of dignity and respect and, real genuine interest. So all in all, I can say now that one of the most challenging times, and I hope it's the most challenging time of my lifetime, it actually has been one of the most interesting. So thank you all so much.
That brings us to the close of this afternoon's session. I'd like to give you a few little bits of information. The Lord Mayor in his speak spoke about UILLEANN, 14 Henrietta Street, the UILLEANN City Gallery and the Andy Warhol exhibition, the Crow Park and GAA Museum. He also spoke about Dublin City Library at Pearse Street. Most of these things are all on your cultural programme that you'll have received an email today. We need for you, there are specific spaces allocated per activity, so we'd really appreciate if you could either follow the link and book yourself in, or if you see some of my merry band of colleagues who are dotted around the place, and they can personally, they have the links on their phones and they can actually book you in as well. So there's two ways if you do it, by yourself or through some of the team here. The Lord Mayor's reception will be this evening in the Mansion House at 7 p.m. There will be some light supper, and there will also be a cultural programme of some music and song and spoken word and some more traditional Irish music. We will be leaving here at 6:15. If anybody would like to come along with us, there'll be a load of groups of us and more than happy to accompany you and have a bit of a chat along the way and talk to you about our own Dublin. Tomorrow evening also, for those venues that are more than 15-20 minutes walk away, we will have bus transfers, and for those that are by foot, you will be brought again by some of my colleagues. It'll be a bit like a school tour. There'll be 3 designated people per 10 adults, all that sort of stuff, so we don't lose you along the way into some of the hostelries that the Lord Mayor also mentioned in his speech, so as to make sure that you don't get waylaid along the way into other sorts of pleasures. So that's it for this evening. Thank you very, very much. And we're looking forward to 2.5 days of really interesting, provocative, inspiring and challenging discussions. Thank you very much. Gur míle maith agaibh.